How to stop overthinking and reclaim your peace. The deception of the mind. Why overthinking feels like the enemy. Imagine a mind that never stops, like a relentless storm of thoughts, each one colliding with the next, creating waves of doubt, anxiety, and indecision. Our protagonist lives in this storm, trapped in a cycle of endless analysis, replaying past mistakes and obsessing over future possibilities. Every decision, no matter how small, feels like stepping onto thin ice, where one wrong move could shatter everything. At first, they believe their mind is betraying them. Why else would it constantly throw intrusive thoughts, worst-case scenarios, and paralyzing doubts their way? It feels like an internal war, a battle against a part of themselves they can't escape. They try everything: distractions, affirmations, even forcing themselves to just stop thinking. But the more they fight, the stronger the thoughts become, wrapping tighter around their consciousness like a snake constricting its prey. Then comes the first shocking realization. What if overthinking isn't an enemy at all? What if it's actually a secret defense mechanism? Like an overprotective guardian, the brain isn't trying to hurt them, it's trying to keep them safe. Every endless thought loop, every exaggerated fear, every hesitation is the mind's desperate attempt to shield them from failure, rejection, or the unknown. The mind doesn't care about happiness, it only cares about survival. And so, it creates a fortress of overanalysis, hoping that if it considers every possible outcome, no harm will ever come. But here's the cruel irony: this fortress isn't protecting them, it's trapping them. Twist. The brain isn't sabotaging you, it's trying to protect you, but in all the wrong ways. The real problem? It doesn't realize that in its attempt to keep you safe, it's actually keeping you stuck. And so, the journey begins, not to silence the mind, but to understand it. Because only by decoding its intentions can our protagonist finally take back control. The hidden code deciphering the language of overthinking. The realization that overthinking isn't the enemy, it's a misguided protector, shakes our protagonist to the core. But now comes an even greater mystery. If the mind isn't trying to harm them, then what is it trying to say? At first, it seems impossible. How could the endless spirals of self-doubt and worst-case scenarios be anything more than mental noise? But then, a pattern begins to emerge. The overthinking isn't random. It's a series of repeating messages hidden beneath the chaos. Every fear, every what if, every replayed conversation carries a signal disguised as noise. The mind isn't just throwing thoughts around for no reason. It's trying to communicate. But without the right tools, our protagonist has been misinterpreting the message, mistaking the alarm bells for prison bars. Enter the ancient wisdom of the Stoics and the insights of modern psychology. The Stoics believed that suffering often comes not from events themselves, but from our perception of them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The overthinking mind has been spinning stories, not truths, feeding on fears that only exist in imagination. Meanwhile, modern psychology reveals a shocking insight. Overthinking is often triggered by a deep, unmet need for certainty, for validation, for control. But here's the problem. The mind uses thinking as a substitute for action. It believes that by running endless simulations, it can solve problems that only experience can resolve. Twist. The key to peace isn't stopping overthinking. It's translating it into something useful. Our protagonist realizes that instead of treating their thoughts as threats, they must decode them. Every anxious loop is pointing towards something deeper. An overanalyzed conversation, a fear of rejection, an obsession with making the perfect choice, a fear of failure, a constant replay of past mistakes, a longing for redemption. Once they shift their focus from resisting the thoughts to understanding them, the overthinking transforms. It's no longer an overwhelming flood, it's a guide. Instead of trying to silence the mind, they begin listening to it in a new way. And for the first time, there is space for clarity, space for action, and space for peace. But there's still one problem. What if overthinking is addictive? That question lingers as they move deeper into the journey, unknowingly stepping toward the next shocking revelation. The illusion of control. Why you're addicted to overthinking. Just when our protagonist thinks they are making progress, deciphering their thoughts, understanding their patterns, they hit an unexpected wall. If overthinking is just a misguided survival mechanism, and if they now recognize its hidden messages, then why do they still feel unable to stop? The answer is as unsettling as it is revealing. Overthinking isn't just a habit, it's an addiction. Like a gambler at a slot machine, endlessly pulling the lever, hoping for a winning outcome, the overthinker is trapped in a loop of mental compulsions. Each obsessive thought, each deep analysis, each imagined scenario gives a fleeting sense of control, a feeling that if they just think a little longer, just consider one more angle, they can finally guarantee a perfect outcome. But here's the devastating truth. Overthinking never actually solves anything. It only gives the illusion of control. The brain is wired for certainty, and uncertainty is its greatest fear. And so, rather than confronting the reality that life is unpredictable, the mind convinces itself that thinking is doing. But in reality, it's a stall tactic, a trick played by the subconscious to avoid taking real risks, making real decisions, and facing real consequences. The protagonist now faces an excruciating paradox. The very thing they believed was keeping them safe is actually keeping them stuck. Overanalyzing relationships hasn't made them more loved, it's made them more distant. Obsessing over decisions hasn't made them wiser, it's left them paralyzed. Replaying past mistakes hasn't led to growth, it's deepened their self-doubt. Twist. True peace isn't about knowing everything, it's about trusting yourself in the unknown. And trust is something that can't be thought into existence. It must be acted upon. The protagonist stands at a crossroads. Do they continue feeding the addiction, or do they step into the discomfort of uncertainty and finally let go? But how do you outwit a mind that refuses to let go? The answer lies in an act of rebellion, one that challenges everything they thought they knew. And as they prepare to fight back, they have no idea that they're about to change their relationship with their mind forever. The rebellion, outsmarting your own mind. The realization hits like a thunderclap. Overthinking isn't just a habit, nor is it a protector. It's a trap, a cunning illusion designed to keep our protagonists safely confined within the walls of their own mind. But now they see it for what it is. And for the first time, they feel something new: defiance. They refuse to be a prisoner any longer. But how do you escape a cage built inside your own head? How do you fight something that is you? The answer isn't in fighting harder, it's in fighting smarter. The first step of rebellion? Doing the exact opposite of what the overthinking mind expects. The mind craves endless debate. The protagonist chooses decisive action. The mind demands reassurance. They embrace uncertainty. The mind loops on a thought, desperate for resolution. They practice letting it be unfinished. At first, it feels unbearable, like walking blindfolded across a tightrope. But something strange happens. The more they act without waiting for the perfect thought, the more their mind begins to lose its grip. Then, the biggest breakthrough occurs, an insight that changes everything. The protagonist realizes that thoughts are not commands. They are suggestions. Overthinking only has power because they have been treating every anxious thought as if it demands an answer. But what if they simply ignored it? Instead of engaging with every what if, they let the question hang in the air, unanswered. Instead of solving every imagined problem, they redirect their energy to the real world, to action, to movement, to things that exist outside their mind. And something miraculous happens. The thoughts don't go away immediately, but they lose their weight. Like a schoolyard bully whose taunts are met with indifference, the overthinking mind starts to quiet down when it realizes it's no longer in control. Twist. The brain can be reprogrammed. And the moment you realize this, you'll never think the same way again. For the first time in their life, the protagonist feels something they never thought possible: freedom. But there's one final test, one last piece of the puzzle that must fall into place. Because the greatest twist of all is yet to come, and it will change their relationship with their thoughts forever. The grand finale, the ultimate shift that changes everything. As the protagonist stands at the edge of this newfound freedom, a quiet realization dawns upon them. They've spent so long battling their mind, waging war against every intrusive thought, every fear, every overanalyzed detail. But now, as they look back on the journey, decoding their thoughts, outsmarting the addictive need for control, and embracing uncertainty, they see the final truth. Overthinking was never the real enemy. It was merely a symptom, a surface level issue that masked something far deeper. The real challenge wasn't the thoughts themselves, it was their relationship with them. The shocking revelation? The moment they stopped fighting their mind, the moment they stopped trying to control it, something miraculous happened. They didn't just quiet the storm, they learned how to dance with it. This isn't about silencing the mind forever or curing overthinking. It's about recognizing that thoughts are just that, thoughts. They come and go, like clouds in the sky. Some are dark and heavy, others light and fleeting. But they are not permanent, and they do not define the person who experiences them. For the first time, the protagonist no longer feels like a slave to their mind. Instead, they've become its partner. They've learned to look at every anxious thought, every what if, with curiosity instead of fear. They've stopped engaging with the noise, and in doing so, they've reclaimed their peace. Twist: peace isn't something you chase. It's something you become. The thoughts are still there, but they no longer have power over them. The mind is still busy, still analytical, still seeking answers, but now it is an ally, not an adversary. It is no longer a prison. It's a tool that can be used to create, to learn, and to grow without the overwhelming weight of fear and doubt. As the protagonist steps forward into their life, they feel a profound sense of ease they've never known before. The answers they once sought through overthinking have faded, replaced by a deep trust in themselves. They are no longer trapped in the endless spiral. Instead, they are free to act, to experience, and to live. And in this moment, the final twist reveals itself. Overthinking was never the problem. The mind was only trying to protect them from the world they were too afraid to embrace. Now, with a clear mind and a heart full of trust, the protagonist faces the world with a peaceful certainty, and the true adventure begins.